If anyone's just joining the stream, make sure to give us a subscribe and also check out Kahmali's Radical Democracy show in the description. And thanks for everyone for tuning in. Before we let you go, Kahmali, I did want to play a little bit of this, a few clips from this interview that we were talking about, the Yang Speaks with Nina Turner, because there was a few good moments on there that I did want to get your reaction to. I know we're both huge fans of, all three of us are huge fans of Nina Turner over here. And there was some pretty good parts of this conversation.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking about Bernie Sanders and his mistreatment at like the hands of the media, the way that the corporate media basically blacked out Bernie during his run. And Yang acknowledges that, and then him and Turner go on to, reflect on that fact a little bit.
Like not that significant a thing in 16. And then his mistreatment at the hands of the media and the DNC just made me even more fired up. Where you talk about, it's like, well, the media didn't get it or whatnot. It seemed pretty clear to me that the media was trying to minimize the level of Bernie Sanders support, where a lot of the coverage was like, and he can't win. And like this person, it's like, oh, this is interesting. It's like, oh, surprising how many people are for this guy. And I was like, have you actually heard the guy speak? And it seemed very clear, certainly after the fact, even that the DNC kneecapped him and did him dirty. That I think on the merits, if Bernie had been just allowed to compete freely against Hillary Clinton, I think there's a great chance he would have won that race. The media wasn't trying to put its thumb on the scale against him. If the DNC rules and the superdelegates weren't against him, I think there's a great chance he would have been the nominee in 16. And I think if he'd been the nominee, he would have beaten Trump.
Well, I agree with that. Amen amen to everything that you said. And it really stoked for the Bernie-crats, people who believed in the senator from the beginning, resentment with the DNC, and you saw that play out, and you still see remnants of that. I think the party has a long way to go to heal, and to heal, you have to admit when you are wrong, and that still has not happened. But I totally agree with you. We would be talking to President Bernard Sanders right now instead of having to deal with the terror that we have.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely true, and it's cool to hear Andrew Yang acknowledge that too. That if it weren't for the media and the Democrats fucking around in 2016, and obviously this time too, we'd probably be living under Bernie Sanders instead of the insanity of Donald Trump and everything we're going through now.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I mean, look what we had, and I mean, they left it up to these razor thin margins. Joe Biden, he was able to just barely, by the skin of his teeth, win this election, and he lost. Interestingly enough, his support, Trump's support, actually increased among all groups except for white men, which was shocking to me. Was that it's the exact opposite of what you would believe if you watch nothing but corporate mainstream media. You would assume that, oh no, it's the exact opposite of that, and that Biden made gains with all that. And we were told that Biden was so much better with black people because one state, South Carolina, where they have a much older population, and there's a massive generational gap even amongst the black vote. There is a massive generational gap amongst the black vote, where young black voters are much more progressive, much more left than older black voters. And so, but they use that as the narrative of, oh, Bernie's bad with black people and he's great with, and Biden's great with black people. And that's where the black support is. So we got to stick with.
Don't you know you're not black if you didn't vote for Joe Biden?
Oh, absolutely. I clearly, guys, this is a mirage what you're seeing here, so I literally got the green nails just for my Green Party support. I had to do green nails just for that. Yeah, because I love my, but yeah, no, that was what we were told, is that Biden's so much better. But we know that Bernie really did, he was bringing out, the Latino vote was really significant, and Trump got I saw one thing that's had him at 50% with Latino men, but we have to wait for the final numbers come out. It's based on exit polling.
Yeah, exit polling.
Exit polls
are dead to me right now.
Yes, and that's a conversation that we should definitely we got to acknowledge that. I was paying attention to polls and listening to polls throughout.
So were we.
I'm done. I'm done with that. Like
yeah,
next
fuck
time,
it. Nate
I'm not
Silver's
playing
dead
that
to me.
game.
He can go out behind the chemical sheds. I don't give a fuck.
Polls were off by worse margins than they were in 2016, and they haven't reckoned with it yet, and they really need to. And that was even with them trying to adjust for that sort of silent Trump vote. And so, yeah, I think that what we're seeing though is that unfortunately, and what they sort of talked about there with Yang and Nina really is that, and you mentioned it earlier actually, Gavin, is that I think that the Democratic Party is just learning all the wrong lessons, from this. And while they will not acknowledge that, Bernie would have won, and honestly, the Biden probably won because of the work of Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden didn't do a damn thing.
And his base.
Yes, exactly. Like exactly. When I say Bernie Sanders, it's like Bernie Sanders and his base, of course, because I think Bernie was out there. I mean, Bernie was out there campaigning when Joe Biden was, in that basement and stuck in that basement. And I really think that the pandemic just played perfectly into Joe Biden's hands, because that was their strategy anyway, was keep Joe Biden out of the light. And they just got to parlay that into, oh, he's doing it because he's responsible and he doesn't want to spread COVID. But really it was, no, we're just trying to keep him out of your sight try to let Donald Trump hang himself.
Yeah, they got so lucky in the sense that they got to just, chill in the basement and hang out. And I think another great point that Nina Turner makes in that little clip that I played, that's just so true, and that the Democrats have not grappled with at all, is that like what they did to the Bernie base, what they did to the left in 2016 and 2020 is not something that has just been forgiven and forgotten. Like people like me, who at one point were fine and had no real qualms voting for the Democrats, are now like permanently turned off for ever wanting anything to do with these fuckers ever again in my entire life, let alone voting for them, let alone giving them my money. Like they need to address this rift that they have caused in their own party by the way they treated one of the candidates that was running in their primary. Like, it's their fucking fault that we can't stand them, that we hate them, that we understand and see through their corrupt bullshit. And obviously, of course, also thanks to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and what we learned about that. So I just think it's insane that they're just going to pretend like that never happened. Hillary Clinton gets to nominate Tim Kaine and pretend that there wasn't a fucking political revolution that just happened.